What If is a segment that we've had here on the show before. And the basic premise is exactly that. What if we ask ourselves the question because we take a situation where it is famously known to have gone the way that it did, and we ask the question, what if we make one tweak, we make one change? What if that didn't happen exactly the way that it did? How would things have turned out? How would have things been a little bit different? And in the spirit of the retirement tour, I thought it'd be really cool to take a look back 2002. The WWE was in quite possibly, and I can argue this, one of the most vulnerable positions the WWE has ever been in. Because the WWE in 2002 was coming to the tail end of one of its most lucrative and financial success eras of all time, the Attitude Era. It was very quickly coming to an end. We had lost The Rock. We had lost Stone Cold Steve Austin. We were losing characters and talents left and right. Mick Foley was in retirement. Triple H had the quad injury in 2001. He comes back in 2002, but for the most part, the company is hurting. So they looked to developmental. And luckily for them, they had probably to this day one of the deepest developmental eras of all time. You're talking John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin, just the list goes on and on from that very specific era. There were many eras after of some great talent. I know people will look at NXT's Black and Gold brand and might say that might be one of the most successful.
I would say that was probably the next generation of that.
Yeah, I also wouldn't characterize them as developmental talents. Not in the same sense that 2002 was. Those guys came off the street.
I would, because in
Well,
hindsight, I think they tried to recreate that, and it never was the same.
fair, fair. But we're
Yeah.
going to take a look at a very specific moment. So I sent you the clip, and they kind of explained it a little bit, and I'll explain it here just really quickly. So John Cena, when he was in OVW, was not John Cena. He was the prototype. That was the name that he had. Just a quick second. My balls are boiling. I'm going to turn this fan on while I talk about this. Ah, cool breeze on the balls. Let's go. Okay. So there was no prototype. My tag says it all right there. I'm not wearing pants. So
Oh, I wasn't even worried about that. You got the fan under the desk?
no, I have the fan. It's like angled. It's
Oh,
next
okay.
to the desk, but it's like it's not the. It's like I
Fair
don't know.
enough.
It's
That's
just
fine. We're good. We can move on.
he was the prototype in OVW, and just based on the look, and now that everyone knows what John Cena looks like, so yeah, he was the prototype. When he got called up to the main roster, it was brought on to SmackDown in the infamous ruthless aggression situation. They brought him up by his real name, John Cena. They weren't really big on the whole prototype deal. So when he moved to SmackDown, as Bruce Pritchard called it, he was all right. He was just a wrestler. He needed a personality. He needed something a little different about him, and everything they had tried up until that point hadn't worked. So he was on the cusp. I think the way that he explained it is that there's usually around November there's a
Mhm.
season of cuts that takes place, and they had given him his notice. They said
For Christmas, around
we're
Christmas, I think it
yeah,
was.
we're gonna cut you, just giving you the heads up, and so you can make your plans, Rich Holland, so that you can make your plans, and so he did the European tour. It was probably the last one he was going to do, obviously, before he got released. And he's on the bus. There was a tour bus with all the wrestlers on it, and they're on a bus. And he overhears in the back of the bus Rikishi and Rey Mysterio were two names that he had dropped, but apparently it was a few people that were back
Oh,
there.
weird names to drop. Like I don't really.
Well, I mean, we all know that Ray dabbled a little bit in the music stuff. He did a little bit of it in WCW. The Usos and Rikishi dabble. Rikishi's got
Okay, That's knowledge I don't have. So, but to me, it's new, but I get it. That makes sense.
Ray did a whole music video for WCW. He was out there rapping La Raza, you know what I'm saying, doing some of that cholo rap. And Rikishi, they you know, West Coast baby, you know what I'm saying? Like they've been down with it. So I'm not totally shocked by that, but I think they were totally shocked when the white boy from West Newbury, Massachusetts went back there and was just like, oh, I like to give it a try. They're like, all right, yeah, go ahead, give it a try. You know, just make sure that you end it with a rhyme. You know, the words got to rhyme. Oh, they rhyme. Oh, okay. That's how freestyling works. Just, I can't write anything down. No. Just, we have this term in the streets called off the top, you know, just from the dome, you know, just go ahead and just, another term, just spit something. There you go. Just let them know what you're doing. He's like, well, all right, I'll try. And then he went out there and just fucking mutilated everything. And then
at least that's what the story felt like happened. Like,
the way that I made all that up, by the way. The way that he said it, it was almost like they were like surprised that, because of course.
Sure, I mean, I would be shocked too if John Cena came back there and started rapping.
If the white boy who looked like that all of a sudden just started busting out a freestyle, like a good one, like one that made you like think, you know, like, what the fuck is? I would feel violated. Like, what the fuck is happening right now? So Stephanie McMahon's on the bus. She overhears, and the conversation after the bus ride goes, says, how do you remember all that? And then he explained, it's freestyling. You were going off the top of the head. And I guess she was eating tuna for lunch or whatever. She was like, here, rap about this, the tuna, whatever. So he did this rap about tuna and the plane and the trip and everything like that. And she goes, how would you like to do this on TV? He was like, yeah. And he did. Successfully, and now he's a 17-time world champion, a guaranteed Hall of Famer, and one of the greatest of all time. And I know that the WWE puts that moniker out there. It's a marketing thing. It can be argued. I'm just saying, hear me out. It can be argued. We're not here to argue that today, though. We're here to ask the question, what if? What if he hadn't done that? Let's say he got into his own head. You know what? I'm just gonna chill on this bus. I'm not gonna fuck with nobody. And they ended up releasing him. Imagine we went into 2002 without John Cena. Without that. Now, mind you, in 2002, it wasn't like he skyrocketed as a top star even after the rap. It was slow build.
He built up. He gained favor slowly.
First, he was rapping to some bullshit beat that they just put together for him, and he was off key. It was so weird.
And wasn't he doing like random ass freestyles and like weird ass places?
He would freestyle all the way to the ring, just saying shit.
Well, no, but didn't he have like segments where like people would be in the back? He would just show up and then like freestyle during the segments and stuff.
It would be backstage. Yeah, it was almost for the beginning part of that Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick. He would only speak in freestyle. It was weird. Like anytime you saw him on TV, it was in the form of a freestyle. Even if he was confronting somebody, like somebody was saying something, he would just like go back at him, but he would go back at him in freestyle, even though the person's not freestyling at him. Yeah, he would rhyme. So that progressed, and then eventually the theme, which is what changed everything. When they came up with the Doctor of Thugonomics theme, that was it. That was it. Word life. That was it. With a fighting, a spitting. My discipline is unforgiving. Man, when I heard that shit for the first time, I was like, oh my God. That shit is crazy. Oh, taking over Earth and still kicking in your ass. Word life. Two-faced rappers walk away with 4 shots. The wall rhymer. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then that pushed forward, and the freestyling was becoming so huge that he became huge. People started getting into him, and they started pulling back on the rapping a little bit. He started cutting more promos. Eventually, in 2005, he would go on to finally win his first world title, and that's where the rapping kind of slowed and the Super Cena shit started. And there goes your mixed reaction. But
no, I was gonna say, and that's the timeline that I played out in my head when I read you sent this over. Like, I thought it was ironic that the way that he started was going to get him released, and
Yeah,
then something happened that gained him favor, and he ended up where he wanted to be to begin with,
right,
which is the face
right.
wrestler of the company.
He was
And
just
and and the thing that got him there that people loved, they kind of like they didn't full commit to it. They almost like used it to build him, and then went right back to what he wanted originally to begin with. So
right.
I thought
But
that
by the
was pretty
time they
cool
got
that they
to it,
were able to work that.
yeah.
But
By the time he got to it the second time, the crowd was already kind of
it was it. It was over.
into him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was over.
So he had him after that. So his rise, and he's told this story before, and this is absolutely true. He was not the number one draft pick from OVW, and I mean that as a euphemism, meaning when they made their call ups, he wasn't exactly. He had a look, but he wasn't exactly the guy. They were like, "Here's our prized possession, right? This is going to be your next world champion for the foreseeable future." I mean, they had some other really strong names, as I mentioned earlier, that were coming out of those classes, and even names that might not have been okay. He's going to be a future world champion, but they were all really consistent talents coming out of that developmental system. So that's another part of the what if scenario. We're giving you the rundown on what happened. What happens now if we take it away? What happens if he didn't rap and they did release him? What would WWE have looked like? And I want to share the screen real quick again to show you guys something that I pulled up here. This is the 2002 roster at the time. If I go down, you'll see. Where is he? Right here. John Cena in the hip hop thing. That's him, right? But if you look at this actual roster, A Train, Al Snow. Oh, what happened here? Uh
Oh
oh.
no. The
How the
Kathy
hell?
got you, dude.
Okay. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm not still sharing, am I? No.
No.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do really quickly is I'm gonna go in here. I have had that window up for quite a while, and I don't know why that happened. Oh, it's not even in my history. I think he got rid of it. You know what? Fuck it. We'll leave it. Right? Off. We'll do it off the. Fuck it. We're going live. And I'll just pull this up instead here. There we go. And because I just want to show people really quickly what this is all about here. Right? Yeah. So Big Show, building them up, Billy Gunn. We got some heavy hitters. Like if we skip the people that we know for sure, right? Booker T was there at the time, established veteran. He would later on be the guy, Bradshaw, that John would beat for the world title as JBL, but they stumbled upon that, and they stumbled upon it in 2005. That wasn't the plan. It wasn't the idea. He just got over. Lesnar was the plan. Let's be real. Lesnar was the plan. The problem is, and we can't say in hindsight, right? But when Lesnar came out of OVW, they pushed him and they pushed him hard. Youngest WWE champion in history, immediately wins King of the Ring. We've gone over the resume 1,000 times. They pushed him hard. They fed Cena to him at the beginning of Brock Lesnar's push. But what they didn't realize was that by the time it got to about 2003, 2004, about a year or two later, he would eventually leave the company. So that wouldn't have been a win right there. That's not a situation that would have worked for them, Brock Lesnar. I know people lean on that one a lot when we have this conversation. It wouldn't have worked because he left. Obviously, not the Brooklyn Brawler, although let's give the man his due. Chris Benoit, 2002, could have been an option. I know
I
people,
don't know about that.
again, hindsight, he did some not okay things much later.
No, I'm not even referring to that. I
The
just
thing
mean like,
as him as
and
he is.
looking at this roster, he was a mid card guy.
Yeah, at the time he was absolutely.
In this moment, I'm not talking about anything else we know about any of these guys.
Right.
Like I put Eddie Guerrero much higher than Chris Benoit.
Okay, and we're gonna get to
So,
him in a second.
I see Chris as a mid card. Jericho was
Well,
up there.
I was gonna say, look at the guy who's next to him. Chris Jericho should be higher
Jericho
on the
told top dog.
yeah.
Jericho
Jericho's on that
told the
list.
line. He told the line,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
In 2002, don't forget he was coming off of the Undisputed World title. He actually was the Undisputed World Champion at the start of 2002. So you're right, because let's think about what happened after that title run. A whole bunch of nothing. He went right back to the mid card.
He was
Yeah,
definitely
went right back to the mid card, and then eventually took his break. When he took his break and came back, he would go on to win more world titles. But again, we can't discuss this in hindsight. We have to say in the moment, and it would not have worked. So we move forward here. Where was
Guerrero?
Yeah, Guerrero is probably the next possible option. Again, though,
Edge would be a hindsight.
Hold on, though. In 2002, if you're going to say that Eddie Guerrero is a guy that would have been an option to progress and move forward in place of an open spot, I actually have to disagree with that point. Because in 2002, he was in the same exact spot Chris Benoit was. The only difference is, if you remember, I believe it was 2003, I want to say. That was when the addiction and the eventual termination took place. Around 2002, I want to say, and 2003-ish, because this is when he was also wrestling for Ring of Honor. He had been fired. So I don't know if they would have trusted him. He didn't earn that back until like 2005, when he eventually won the world title over Lesnar. But again, this was all. I don't know if they would have given him that opportunity. Edge is a possibility.
We're talking about making a decision in this year as booking with the people you have right here in front of your face.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Good enough.
Edge is a guy that I think would have been a safe bet. Because in 2002,
in this moment, though, because he was the tag team guy, though.
No, that's the thing. In 2002, he was not. In 2002, that was the breakout singles year. So he was doing the Edge and Christian thing in 99, 98, 99, 2000. And then in 01, they started splitting them, and Edge won the King of the Ring. And then Christian had turned on Edge, and that's how 2001 ended. In 2002, they had moved Edge to SmackDown, kept Christian on Raw. Christian did his thing with Jericho, and Edge went on that crazy run where he was having 5-star matches with Guerrero and Mysterio and Benoit, and he was just fucking smoking. The problem is that he missed a lot of 2003 and 2004 with a devastating neck injury. That's when he had his first, if I'm not mistaken, that's when he had his first fusion, was around that time period. So to me, booking wise, he would have made the most sense. However, that injury bug got him, and it got him good. So as it turns out, he ended up being great. But like we're saying, we're trying to figure out in the moment.
In this moment.
That time period of 2002,
I say, again, just like Jericho,
I would have done
the line.
Yeah, no, but I would have.
The line.
Unlike Jericho with Edge, I would have tried it. Because at the very least, we had youth on our side. We could fix that mistake if it didn't work out. Jericho wasn't old, but Jericho had mileage at that point too. I don't know. Like we said before, Jericho eventually, especially that 08, 09 run where he was just diabolical. But we had to get there first. Things had to happen. By the way, 08, 09 roster in WWE, I don't think was nearly as deep as this one. So we skip ahead. I don't know why Ernest Miller is on here. That's hilarious. Not Godfather, not Goldust, obviously. Hogan is. We're not having that conversation. Hurricane, no. Jamal, no. Jeff Hardy, too soon. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. That 09, 08 area that we're talking about 2 seconds ago, that was where he fit. That was perfect for him. The timing is right. Here's John. who was the
It's
up and
John.
comer at the time.
Yep. Keep going, and you're running
Kane,
into someone else here.
Kane was already kind of established main eventer at the time. He wouldn't be filling a spot, in my opinion. I kind of feel like Kane already had one
So
in
I feel
2002.
like just to be clear, I feel like we're talking about
What?
the guy, not just main eventer. We're talking. We're
Well,
trying to be the person who we're trying to pick. That's the whole point about talking about the John
yeah,
Cena thing in my
yeah,
head.
because in
We're trying
2000,
to see
yeah,
who are we right now. We're in a pickle. We
right, we're
got
in a
John
pick.
Cena rapping. We got Lesnar on his way out.
They're building
We
and
need a
grooming
guy,
John. Yeah, they're
right?
building and they're grooming John to be the guy. And he debuts in '02. He's on the cusp. We're saying he gets fired in '02 because
Yes, he's gone.
in real life, he made it from '02 to '05 and then he became the guy. So to
Yes,
me, in my head, the cutoff is '05.
when he didn't
Who,
rap.
yeah, we're cutting off everything that John did from '02 to '05. So we're
Yes,
sticking to that area right there. Who in that area could we have room to be the guy
right. So
in
with that,
WWE? Right.
I don't think it's
Kane's not
Kane.
in the. Yeah, Kane's
Kane is
not
a
in
main
there.
eventer. He's
Yeah,
definitely a
yeah,
fighter. Could have
yeah,
held the belt at some point, but we're talking about a face. The
yeah.
next
Fair.
guy up here
Yeah,
is could have been the guy.
Kurt Angle in 2002.
Yes,
You could
him.
put your money on. Now again, to decipher between the two.
Almost damn near what you did for Cena. You could have very well done with Kurt Angle, and it would have worked.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, it's not an apt comparison considering Kurt was all by 2002. Kurt was already on a legendary pace. He had been multiple world champion multiple times. He was already a top guy. He was already beating top guys. To say that he would have been a safe bet to be the face isn't much of a stretch because he was kind of already proven. That's what makes John's situation so unique. From 2002, he was nothing. They built in 3 years this fucking new megastar. I don't. Kurt could he have been the face of the company? Yes, absolutely, 100%. There's no doubt. But it wouldn't have been a long haul to carry. It wouldn't have been that much of a stretch considering everything that he had done. So I don't necessarily know if that's not a situation of Kurt filling in for someone who didn't make it. He was already kind of there.
Well, right. No, if anything, what we're saying is the opposite. Is that had this guy not rapped,
Right.
Kurt Angle might have been our guy.
Yeah, Kurt Angle might have, especially on the SmackDown brand.
He could have been our guy.
Yeah. So we're moving forward here. Not Mark Henry, although he's looking fabulous in this picture. Not Matt Hardy, despite it being version 1. Nobody on this list here. All right. Nobody on this list. Randy Orton. Now, Randy Orton came up at the same exact time.
It's too
John
early to
did.
say at this point, I think, for Randy.
Here's the thing, though.
I know they put a rocket on his back.
Yeah, they went to him first. Randy Orton became champion before Johnny, became champion in '04. But as the story goes, even Randy will tell you it was a mistake to do it. He wasn't ready. So they took the belt off of him. They put him in mid-card fucking purgatory, and he had to work his way out. By the time '05 came around and they pulled the trigger on John, he was ready. So while that is a more apt comparison, Randy and John, because they were at the same place at the same time, both got a look, both got a chance. He failed at his first.
Well, yeah, and I think that is a comment too. That's a comment too. It didn't matter what happened with John because his shit was supposed to happen before, and he dropped the ball.
Right. So obviously Ray was high on the list, but I wouldn't put him in the conversation
at that time,
to be
I don't think so.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him in that conversation. Ric Flair passed, way past.
Yeah.
Rob Van Dam.
I don't know. I want to say
tough.
no. This year, you'll have to remind me around this time.
I put him around where
over, dude.
He was over, and in 2002 he was hot. But
dude,
I kind of put him. I kind of put him in that same category that you kind of had Jericho in, where like you could put Rob in an occasional main event and it would rock and it would make money, but it wasn't where he was all the time. And we want to talk about
Yeah,
mileage. He had
I don't,
mileage on him
I
too.
don't know though. Answer this question for me, man. Who was hotter,
Rob
Rob Van
Van
Dam or
Dam.
Chris? I don't know. I just remember
That's tough. I don't know.
when
That's
Rob was.
tough.
Listen, I don't even watch a lot of wrestling, and I don't have a lot of memories back here. But if there's one thing I remember, when Rob was on, he was fucking on, dude.
Yeah, no.
People loved his run, man. He was
Yeah.
on fire when he had his own.
Yeah, in 02, he had a hell of a run. He was strong. And he if I remember if memory serves me correct, he won his fair share of matches, but he took a lot of L's too. He was the guy that they had paired up with Brock Lesnar during the beginning of his run because they needed a guy that he could manhandle and make him look good and all that other stuff. He was an Intercontinental Champion. He had a few opportunities at the world title. He was like right there. But I never saw Rob as the kind of guy that they would say, okay,
Oh
he's,
no.
he's the guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
no. He's
even after 02, he still had, I mean, they made him the world champion. What was that, 06? They finally made him the world champion, and then the fucking cop situation happened, and that was it for that. So I don't know if he fits in there either. The Rock,
I mean, he was already. Yeah, you
it
can
was
argue
already
he is.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, you can argue he kind of was already there, so that's not a situation. I'm going down. Look at Sarah. Sarah's on this list. That's hilarious. Sean O'Hare, no, thank you. Shawn Michaels was already kind of there. Hot take: I don't think Shawn Michaels was ever the face.
I was literally gonna say, you said he was already there, and I was gonna stop you and go. I was like, no, I think that's one of the things that pisses him off the most today is that he never was the guy.
He never really was the guy.
And to be fair, we're arguing people towing the line and stuff like that. I believe Shawn was a victim of his era. Because I think Shawn could have done it.
There's a few of those because you can make the same argument. You can make the same argument that if The Rock had performed in any era but that one, he might have been the face of the company. But he balled in the same area with Steve Austin, and there was nobody ever more white hot than that. So like, yeah, Shawn competed
ever again.
Shawn competed in the Bret Hart era. He just did. I know that people are going to look at 96 and say, well, hold on a second. He was like champion for like a year. Bret wasn't even in the company. He was very clearly the guy. Bret was the champion before Shawn in that era, and he disappeared to see if Shawn could hold it. And then when Bret came back, the belt went right back to Bret. So I don't.
And then he went into the Stone Cold era.
Yeah, and then it transitioned right into the Stone Cold era. So it never. I don't think the baton ever officially really got passed to him. I think they gave him a strong shot, and I don't necessarily
great career.
I don't even necessarily think he failed. Like as
he's in because I believe you have a face, but you also have a group of faces, right? So you have the top dog, and then you have your other faces.
He's right there,
because the top dogs have to fight other faces. They're not just fighting mid cards. So he was up in that hierarchy, but he never reached the top of the top.
No, he didn't. So then we go on the line here, and we're pretty much almost done here. But like Shelton Benjamin, no. Stone Cold passed. It was too much. Test was a guy they looked at early, but by 2002 they had tapped out. They're like, no, we're good. Triple H was kind of already.
What a terrible picture they chose for him there, dude.
For who's that? Test?
No, Triple H, dude. What are you doing to my man, dude?
That looks more like Hunter Hearst Helmsley than it does Triple H.
Oh my goodness.
Taker was kind of already there. Val Venus was never going to get a real shot. Next Pac, I think they tried, and it just wasn't in the cards. So that's what that roster looks like at that time. If I was to click it to 2003, there's not much of a change. So I think that should kind of put it in perspective how strong that run really fucking was for those 3 years.
just to end this, I do have a question. Just to end this, I have a
Uh-huh.
question. Just will help support what we just went through. So we don't got to
Right.
go too deep, but it is a question I want to figure out.
Sure enough.
If he does not rap,
Right.
he gets released.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you got options to build yourself again. What
Right.
could he have done to make his way back to where he inevitably wanted to be?
In
What was his
2002,
what was his option if he didn't rap? Where could he go to build what he needed to get back, or does he fail wrestling altogether?
no. This is gonna sound ridiculous on paper because we all have a vision of John Cena in our head. But 2002 was the very first operating year of two very important entities, TNA
Mm,
and Ring of Honor.
in Ring of
Both
Honor.
and had both started around in 2002. They were fresh, brand new companies at that time. I don't think John would have gotten a real strong opportunity at Ring of Honor.
In Ring of Honor. Okay, I was gonna say I
Just,
feel like
just
you'd be more of a TNA guy.
yeah, just based on the style of work that Ring of Honor had at the time.
Mhm.
John Cena of 2002 didn't really have a lot of cachet. He might have known some people. He might have had a few matches here and there, some dark matches, maybe some on the road matches. I don't really see where that would have worked potentially at the beginning of his career like that. He would have, I think, gotten a strong opportunity at TNA. And if I'm being honest, if John Cena, with the mind that he had, even at that age, would have gotten hooked up with a Jeff Jarrett and a Jerry Jarrett that early in his career, he would have been he would have been money for TNA for sure. Uh,
Okay.
I think eventually it would have been a short time because the goal was always WWE. I think he was going to be there no matter what, based on his frame of thinking. But I think TNA would have been that stage to
Yeah.
to to
Okay.
give him, and he would have. The only problem with that is he would have had that TNA turned WWE guy stigma, because at that time, also remember, WWE didn't like signing a lot of TNA talent.
That's true.
He didn't look like them. A lot of those guys from TNA, he didn't really look like them. He didn't really wrestle like them. Maybe he would have been an exception. He was taller, more fit. He had more of a bodybuilder look. He looked a lot more like someone that Vince would have been into from TNA. Like, look at him and then look at Samoa Joe. I could see why Vince wasn't enthralled with Samoa Joe in 2002, but I could see him being into John, especially since
Hmm.
they already had him.
Hmm.
So that all he really needed to prove to them was that he can develop, like Bruce said, a personality, something a little bit more intangible than just the physical tools. If he would have been able to go to TNA and develop an entire gimmick, maybe he starts rapping there. I don't know. But like if he would have designed like this whole gimmick that they could have used and packaged, it would have increased his chances. But yeah, TNA was definitely an opportunity that could have worked for him, especially at that time when they were with TNA was just trying things.
Mm.
Him and Monty Brown would have been awesome. John Cena versus Abyss in 2002. There's so many different ways that could have gone. But yeah, no, that's definitely the option, the best option, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that should really put into perspective for people just how crazy a run that thing really was, because he went from this isn't really working to just shot out of a fucking cannon. Like he
Yeah.
just it didn't feel like a build because it really was. The rapping thing was in '02, but '03 the Doctor of Thugonomics really kicked. '04 he was popping every building, and then '05 forget it, my time is now, it's done, it's done
He
enough.
was out of
It
here
was
by
out
then.
of
Yeah.
here. So yeah, and then if you want to say, wow, he rose pretty quick, if you think about it, it was only 3 years. He stayed that consistent for the next 22.
Mm.
That's insane. You don't have to like him. That's absolute madness.